There's another interesting piece. Katrina Vanden Heuvel over at the Washington Post and at Katrina Nation at the Nation magazine, thenation.com. Says, my take this morning, Martin O'Malley sounds like he's running and why competitive Democratic primary season is important. Martin O'Malley, I'm just curious. I just tossed this open for you to call in and respond. Martin O'Malley, the Democratic former governor of Maryland, the former mayor of Baltimore, reasonably progressive Democrat. While there's all this hysteria about Hillary Clinton's emails, at least hysteria on the right, Martin O'Malley is basically traveling around. He's gone to Kansas, New Hampshire, Iowa. He's delivering a progressive populist message. He's called Glass-Steagall for jacking the capital gains tax back up to where ordinary income is, to increasing the minimum wage, to raising the threshold for overtime pay, to strengthening collective bargaining rights. He said, quote, triangulation is not a strategy that will move America forward, speaking of the Clinton strategy of accomplishing things politically. The old Clinton policy, whether this is the Clinton policy going forward, God only knows, but, triangulation. He says, we have to be very clear as a party about our principles. He said, I think we need, this is Katrina Vanden Heuvel talking about Martin O'Malley. And my question to you is, do you know about Martin O'Malley? Would you vote for Martin O'Malley? Should Martin O'Malley challenge Hillary Clinton in a primary or not? There are those who suggest that because Teddy Kennedy challenged Jimmy Carter in a primary, now Carter was the sitting president, Hillary Clinton is not the sitting president, but you get the point. Because, they say, because Ted Kennedy challenged Jimmy Carter lost to Ronald Reagan. Well, it's a lot more complicated than that. Carter lost to Reagan because Reagan had cut a deal with the Ayatollahs to keep the hostages. And in exchange for keeping the hostages until the day that Reagan was sworn in January of 1981, in exchange for that, the Reagan campaign said, we will sell you spare parts for the American-owned military that you have, or the American-manufactured military that you have, that the Shah had bought all this stuff. And, we'll sell you this stuff. The argument has been made, don't primary a candidate because it'll weaken them. Might be true. In fact, almost certainly is true. But does it mean that it is a bad idea to have a primary? I think not. I think having a primary gives an opportunity for all the issues to get out, for the issues to be laid on the table, for people to talk about things. Martin O'Malley says, and I quote, we have to be very clear as a party about our principles. I think we undercut our own governing message and our own mission of statement when we're not clear-throated about the failure of trickle-down economics, how the economy is a result of political choices we make, and why we need a combination of wage policies that reward work and policies to rein in reckless speculation that becomes destructive or predatory. It just undercuts our argument when we try to find the middle ground. There's Martin O'Malley saying, I'm not in the middle. I'm the progressive here. He's clearly challenging Hillary Clinton. Or is he running for vice president? Are we going to end up with a Clinton O'Malley ticket? By the way, if we end up with a Walker-Bush ticket on the Republican side, there's a lot of us who remember George Herbert Walker Bush. And the new ticket will be Walker Bush? Really? That's if Jeb ran for vice president. Keep in mind, Scott Walker is he's the fair-haired boy of the Koch brothers. So he is going to rocket to the top. And because all of this money, this $1 billion that the Koch brothers are raising, is all going to go to radio and television stations, they're never going to mention the fact that Scott Walker is there with Koch money. They're never going to mention the fact that Scott Walker is there exclusively because of Koch money. They're never going to mention the fact that Scott Walker is still governor of Wisconsin, largely because of Koch money. This guy's a cokehead. Wisconsin has a coke problem. It's not just Wisconsin, it's most of the country. So anyhow, would you vote for Martin O'Malley? He says there's been a myth pushed that what's wrong with our country is entitlements. He says, I do think we need to expand Social Security. I think we need to be unabashed about it. I think that people have been responding to Senator Warren because of the clarity with which she speaks to the rigging of the system. And when he was governor of Maryland, Martin O'Malley passed marriage equality in his state, got it through the legislature. He banned assault weapons in Maryland. He ended the death penalty in Maryland. He raised the minimum wage, put into place a state version of the DREAM Act. I mean, this guy is like, if I was going to create a Democratic politician and say, okay, here's my presidential ticket, this would be it. That said, I got to say, I live in Washington, D.C., and so to the extent that I pay attention to local politics, I do read the local section of the Washington Post, and I have some sense of what's going on in my town. But I don't know Maryland politics that much. I've never met Martin O'Malley. I don't think I've ever talked with him. Maybe he's been a guest on our program, and I just don't remember it, but I don't think so. What do you know about this guy? Would you vote for him? Do you think that the Democratic Party should be entertaining, basically a primary? We'll be back.